This podcast is brought to you from Grantwood AEA, an educational service agency that supports school districts in eastern Iowa with a focus on equity, excellence, and efficiency in education for all children.
Welcome to episode 68 of the EdTech Takeout, the podcast that serves up bite-sized technology tips for teachers. My name's Jonathan Wiley, and joining me today are two of my favorite people. First up, Mindy Carney.
Hi. And we've got Amber Bridge.
Hello.
We're all here together.
We are all here together. Yes. Amber's here to help us out with our main course today.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in due course,
yes.
I guess.
News and follow-up first, right?
Yeah, let's straight to business,
okay.
I guess.
Yeah. Oh, did you want to chat about something?
Too late now.
Personal talk? Okay.
No.
All right.
Business socks?
Yes, business socks on. Have you watched Flight of the Conchords? Do you know that song? We've talked about this before.
We have talked about this before.
Have you seen? Do you know this song? I've sent it to you.
You did?
Yes. Okay. Do you know this song?
Business
Socks.
do
I got my
not.
business socks on.
Mm-mm.
It's not appropriate for this podcast.
Okay.
We'll tell you about it later.
Sounds good.
So, first up on news and follow-up is we've talked about the Immersive Reader in Wakelet before,
yes,
haven't we?
I think so.
So that anything you put on your Wakelet, you could have read with the Immersive Reader.
Yeah.
And they added something else called Read Mode,
right?
Where if you add like a link to your Wakelet to a website or something, when you click on that link to go to the website,
no.
No?
You have to click on the read mode, and so in the tile where it has the picture of the link and pictures that it pulls in, the read mode is on that. You have to click on that, and it will pull that link into Immersive Reader.
Otherwise, it's just the text.
Yeah.
Straight text on the page.
All right.
And it says like beta on it too, or something.
Does
it's
say
not,
beta.
It looks like a little bookmark, kind of. Or
Yeah,
like
kind of a book open with a little hangy down bookmark flag.
Yep, but I think it says beta on it, so don't be afraid to click it. You're going to love it. All of the Immersive Reader tools and toys.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
What else? We finally got the audio in Google Slides.
I have it too.
Yes.
But I haven't used it. Have you used it?
I have used it, yes. Because I think the thing I was always curious about was, could you add like audio to the first slide and have it play the whole way through your slide deck?
Oh.
Or does it just play for that one slide?
Oh, that's a good question. What's the answer?
The answer is you can do it.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
There's a little switch that lets you turn that on and off.
Kind of if you go up and you select it, right? Then you get the format
options.
Just like you do with videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was doing this with my daughter recently. She had to do a presentation in art, and she wanted music in the background for whatever reason.
Sure.
And I said, yeah, you can do that. You just go, oh, you don't have it either. So we ended up hacking it by putting YouTube videos and hiding them behind white squares and stuff like that. But then when you go to the next slide, the YouTube video would have to start playing again from the beginning. And so
what a pain.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. So insert audio is here for everybody.
Yeah. But it's still like a file you have to upload, right? Like you can't record audio straight in.
Yeah.
Correct.
And this has been around long enough or been talked about long enough. Why isn't that an option just to record straight in? Why?
I always defer all audio questions to Jonathan Wiley.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. I mean, it's...
Well, Google.
You can record your webcam audio straight there. It would make sense that they'd have the same kind of tool for audio.
Yes.
So what I thought was kind of interesting was I looked at Richard Burns' site as to how he was explaining it, and he mentioned that Vocalroo is having an update, and they're in beta, and the reason with that is because of the whole Flash,
right,
in 2020, and things are changing. So Vocalroo is going to stick around.
Oh, because you and I just talked about Vocalroo the other day.
We did, yeah. So that's going to stick around, but I'm kind of wondering if maybe with that switch or maybe some of that technology will hopefully trickle into the Google world.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I did see a blog post from Greg Kulowich, who wrote something up on how to do narrated storybooks with Google Slides.
Nice.
I thought that's a fun idea, so I'll throw that in there.
Yeah, good.
I think he mentioned Vocalroo is one of those tools for recording your audio too.
Right. Okay. Oh, boy. Let's talk a little bit about the new updated look of Google Forms. Amber Bridge, who's the only one that has it.
It is so goofy. You guys didn't have audio.
I know.
I had it. I'm like, hey, look, Forms looks a little different. Yeah, you're the only one.
Yeah, right.
it's just a cleaner look, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's not too much different. As we were just taking a look, I am kind of excited that the whole image doesn't stretch on the top of a Google form now. Right. It's kind of cropped, and maybe they will look a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
But I don't notice a whole lot
more
of...
It just looks updated, right? Like the icons are a little bit more updated, like you would find in other Google apps and stuff. So
yeah,
it's
not life-shattering.
It's not shattering. Yeah. Nope, don't get so excited about it, but...
Yeah, the link I saw from Google says the updated design is consistent with other Google tools, including Classroom and Docs.
Oh.
So they're just trying to bring them all back in the same design stable, I guess.
Right. Okay. I don't know anything about this next one on your list, Wiley.
Insert collapsible text boxes into the new Google sites.
Text boxes.
Yes, those. So, like on a Google Help page, sometimes it will have more than one way to do something. So it'll be like edit a form, and it'll be like insert questions, how to add video, how to, do different question types. Yes. And then it has little drop-down things where you click on it, and that's what those are for Google Sites now.
Huh.
You can do little collapsible boxes.
Cool.
Sometimes you see them in like FAQs, where you would have a list of all the questions, and then you click on the box to expand it.
Yeah.
And then you would see all the information there. So you could do your own FAQ page on a Google site.
I like that.
Another Google update.
Oh, yeah.
We got lots of Google updates.
Super excited about this.
You think?
We've been talking a lot about rubrics lately, the Google Classroom rubrics.
So I got an email from Google because I'm in the rubrics beta, and it says, we are excited to share that instructors will now be able to reuse rubrics in both classrooms and assignments.
Thanks, Google. Oh, yeah.
You have the ability to create a rubric from scratch or reuse an existing rubric. So that was always the big complaint. It's like...
so dumb.
Yes.
Yeah, so, but
Makes sense.
When things are in beta, that's the way it works, I suppose. So.
But people are listening.
Yeah.
And whenever people ask me about it and they said, wait, I can't, and that help button down in the bottom left-hand corner, click that, fill in the feedback, because they do read your feedback.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So this just came out, is just today?
As of recording today, yep.
Tour builder with Google Earth of sorts? Okay, I haven't looked at it at all. The email is in my inbox, but what's going on? Did you look at it?
Well, in like the old version of Google Earth, like the desktop version for Mac and PC and things, you could create these little tours.
Yeah.
And when they went to the web, that was something they didn't carry over straight away. So it's basically that version of that functionality they brought over to the web.
I see.
So you get to create your own little tours inside the Google Earth web platform.
All right. Thank you, Google. Again.
Yeah.
Yes. For bringing back old tools that you had before.
Yeah. And if you've used that tour...
Dust them off.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That was a really good idea. Let's bring it back. I added one on here that Seesaw added a draft mode so that students who haven't finished a creation of some sort or a post of some sort can put it into draft mode, where before... I don't know, there were some weird workarounds for it that they might submit it and then teachers would not approve it and push it back to kids, or they'd have to go and make a copy of it, and just a hot mess. So now they have draft mode. So when you're in creating, there's a little new draft mode button and you can just click on it and it puts it into your drafts. And so students can come back to it and finish it later. This, however, is only for Seesaw for Schools.
Really?
Yeah.
Rats.
Sorry, guys.
Seems like the last 2 or 3 big updates have been for schools.
And that's, I think they are, like they did some of those updates as far as what the creation board looked like did filter, of course, over into the free mode or the free accounts. But I think all of the good stuff now is just going to go to Seesaw for Schools. The free Seesaw account is still fantastic. So don't get too worked up about it. But yeah, I think all of these extra little things you're only going to see them in Seesaw for Schools now.
Well, if you're going to have a pro account, you want to
not even a pro
appealing.
account. I don't even think you get it with your like I don't know that I necessarily would have it, except that I am attached to some Seesaw for Schools accounts with our district, so I can see it because of that, but I don't even know that like my ambassador account has it.
Okay.
I'm not for certain. It's kind of hard sometimes for me to tell, but what I read was that it was Seesaw for Schools. So
there you go.
There you go. Yep.
Last but not least, International Podcast Day. I asked you a question.
You did. Oh, boy.
I asked you if you listened to your podcast at 1x or 2x and so forth. Remember that?
Yes.
And we both said we listened at 1x, and I have to backtrack a little. I'm just doing a little correction on the air here.
Okay.
My podcast app uses something called Smart Speed.
Oh, okay.
And what it does is it cuts out the silences in between people talking.
Oh.
So it doesn't like speed up your podcast, but I mean, you'll still get through it quicker. It cuts out all the long pauses and things like that. And you can turn that on and off if you want. If you're listening to like a dramatic storytelling podcast, you might want it on for effect. But if you're listening to us, and we're just like pausing because we're thinking of words that are not coming into our head, then Smart Speed's good for that.
Huh.
So
interesting. And that's on Overcast?
That's on Overcast. Yeah, it says I've saved 6 hours of podcast listening by using Smart Speed.
Wow. What are you going to do with your extra 6 hours of life?
Do you feel 6 hours more productive?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a question about this because I feel like I need to find a new podcast player. Because when I'm in my car and I'm listening to podcasts, what's super annoying to me is that in my just regular like iPhone podcast app, right? Mm-hmm. In the list, it's most recent. And if I'm trying to catch up, so if I play this one and I have, it automatically goes to the one below it, which is the one I just listened to. Mm-hmm. I want them to play up through the chronological order.
Oh.
So does Overcast do that?
Yeah.
So does it start with one at the top? Like I could start at one and it will just automatically play through them? Because it's not real safe for me to try and find my next episode while I'm driving.
It can. So you can flip a switch to automatically play the next one if you want or not.
If podcast has that and I just haven't.
Yeah, I wonder,
seen it.
Would it be possible to like have it delete the podcast after you've listened to it?
Yeah, and I have that turned on. I don't know. I always think about when I'm in my car driving, like, this is super annoying and not safe at all.
Yeah, and you never think about it until you're in your car and you're going, this is super annoying.
Yeah. So I'm glad you made me think of it now when I'm, like, on, like, solid ground. I can now go look after this podcast is over. Figure it out.
Sounds good.
All right. News and follow-up complete?
Complete.
All right, up next, main course, served to you piping hot, is what happened to Flipped Classroom? Bringing Amber Bridge in, our resident Flipped Classroom expert. Are you?
I don't know.
You're a resident expert. I can't think of anybody with more residency and more expertise.
Okay, if you say so.
Wear that badge. Just wear it.
All right.
Put your tier on.
That sounds fine.
Yes, I mean, this kind of came up in conversation, I guess, between the three of us a little bit, because I was looking at some resources and things for a screencasting class I'm doing, and I wanted to include some things on blended learning and flipped classrooms and stuff, and then I started looking around, and I didn't see as much stuff as I thought I would find, or much recent stuff. It was all like 4 and 5 year old Edutopia articles and things, and so I thought, hey, Amber would know what did happen to flipped classrooms. So
I think it's interesting to think about flipped classroom, because if you go back, like if I have my Golden Girls moment, right? Picture it.
Yes.
2011, you know.
We need some like fancy like sound effects like
the world was a little bit different place in 2011, right?
Yes.
And I remember getting a little ding in my Digo feed with an infographic on flipped classroom and being like, this is it.
Yeah, right.
This is going to change everything. And I went to my principal, and she was very supportive, and my school district was very supportive. And they bought me some stuff, and I tried some stuff. And so from 2011 to 2014, I tried a lot of different things.
Sure.
So I guess I'll be a resident expert.
Okay, we'll take it.
What did you do in your classroom when you were flipping? Can you?
Sure.
When you were flipping.
When I was a flipping teacher.
Yeah.
Well, I started off really simply, and you got to think about 2011. There weren't all the tech tools out there in the world.
Yes.
There were some good ones. I had 5 that I used that helped me a lot. I started with just an iPad. And at that point in time, literally my principal bought me an iPad that didn't have the front camera on it.
Wow.
It was that generation.
The iPad 1.
I think it was iPad 1. Right. And then like immediately the front camera came out. I'm like, can you do something about this? And she was able to help me with that. So I had an iPad and I just set up my iPad and I recorded myself talking at my kitchen table. So iPad, YouTube, that's how I started out.
Yeah.
I've trickled in Google Forms with that because I wanted to collect some data back from my students to see what they were getting out of the videos. And then I was like, all right, it would be really great if I had an editor to kind of help me make these look a little bit nicer. And so that's when Camtasia came into my life.
Oh, wow. You guys have had a long relationship.
We have had a long relationship, yeah. And then finally, the last one to kind of complete that original 5 was Explain Everything.
Oh, sure.
And man, Explain Everything, when it first came out, was amazing to be able to record and put pictures in and tell a story and do some editing in there. And so I basically started with one pilot class and then trickled it out through all of my science classrooms. And I always surveyed my students. I got feedback from them. And resoundingly, like 85% of them said they liked watching videos as homework, which was what my promise was to them with it, that it felt like they helped them understand concepts better. And about 70% of them said they remembered to watch on a regular basis. So as I was kind of collecting data from them, I tried different things. I did a very traditional. Watch a video, come to class, we do something different.
Sure.
Then I was like, this works, but we can do other things. And so I started trying what Ramsey Musallam called just-in-time flipping. And that was, I watch what my students are doing in class and figure out what they need and make a video on the fly and assign that as homework. And that definitely helped some of the students to go a little bit deeper.
Sure.
I also tried personalized videos, which I took to my iPad and I had a list of like 5 kiddos that were just struggling with vocabulary in class. Would go over to them, we'd have a conversation, and I would record it on my iPad.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And then share it back to them, and so they had their own personalized video. And then as the year went on, we would get into some mastery stuff with it, where I had all the videos laid out, and they could work through it at their own pace.
Nice.
And we just kept going. And they were working through projects that they were really interested in.
So pioneer. You're a pioneer, Amber Bridge.
Oh, all right. Expert and pioneer. Yeah. All the things to add to my Twitter handle.
Yeah. I was going to ask like a kind of a, I can't even think of the word for this now, but this is where you need the smart speed to skip over this part on your podcast. A practical question, which would be like, how did you structure all your, I mean, you probably uploaded your videos to YouTube, but was that where you sent kids to YouTube to go watch the videos, or did you have like a classroom site or some kind of LMS or...
So this was also before Google Classroom existed. So, different times, right?
Yeah.
So I did have a YouTube channel. It still is up, which I was kind of surprised about.
Here you are.
I haven't added anything to it in a while. But I had a YouTube channel that I would create playlists of the videos on different topics and themes that we were doing. But I would have the assigned video go to a Google site. And so I would embed the video on a Google site, and then using Google Forms, I would stick the form right underneath it that they were supposed to complete while watching the video.
Okay, so that Google site was like your home base for
the old school Google site too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were fun.
Oh boy. So this is interesting though, because like Wiley said, and you even said it with your results about how your students were, how impactful they thought it was or effective they thought it was on their learning. But like Wiley said, you go and look for information on flipped classrooms and you're not seeing a lot. However, I feel like we are seeing and hearing people talk more about it, but they're doing more of the watching within their classroom. So blended learning, I think, really has kind of taken that maybe and brought it into the classroom, because as we kind of get further in our evolution of teaching is that we start thinking about what are those kids that don't have devices at home? You know, how does that work for them? And being very responsive to that. So with flipped learning, if we're bringing it into the classrooms, it's still the same principles of what you're talking about, but it just looks a little bit different.
Absolutely. You would call that the in-class flip, right? And so if you think about all of that, it's just front loading for your students, right? It's giving them the opportunity to slow down your lecture. I always remember that I thought it was funny, but it's very, very true. Students don't know how to watch a video for educational purposes. And I thought that in 2011. I still think that today in 2019. I had a student that came up to me and said, "You talk really fast in your video." And I said, "There's a pause button." And so that was kind of a moment for me saying, we need to talk about this. I'm going to, just because one student's asking about it, there's probably more students that are struggling with it as well.
So I wondered if flipped classrooms were becoming kind of symptomatic of that educational cycle. You know, every so often there's that new hot thing that comes around, and right now it seems to be around blended learning, and some people will put flipped classroom in with blended learning and things like that. But I was wondering if that's maybe one of the reasons why, I don't know, you hear less about it, because people are always trying to look for that one new thing and replace it with that, or it's a really good point. Like, so you say you don't hear much about it, but maybe the people that were talking about it are now doing something else. Right. And so there's now other people that are talking about it and moving forward with it. I do think that with the amount of one-to-one environments, that it's become easier to do the in-class flip. And a lot of people have kind of felt, I would say there was a pushback, right, with flipped classroom, because they said, yes, if I give videos as homework, then we'll be able to continue on down the path and go faster through the things that we're already doing. But that maybe wasn't necessarily things that were engaging students. What I found to be helpful for me is that I made very conscious decisions about things I wanted students to be able to do more of that we did not have time to in 42 minutes. And so I thought about those things, and I said, okay, if I give up this lecture time here, because I really am not an amazing lecturer. But if I give up that time, how can I get kids active in their learning deeper into skills that I want them to be practicing? So for me as a science teacher, I would prep, and front load the procedure that they were doing with the experiment. They would watch that in a video, so that 10 minutes of class, they would get back. They would come in ready to go. They would experiment, and now they would actually have the time to work on their explanations and really process what it is they saw, what they were a part of. And really, that's what we want our students to be
It gives
doing.
you more opportunity to build a relationship with those students, right? Because it's hard to build a relationship in front of a room. So when you have that time to coach them through something, it becomes more, I think, a better community and a better climate for learning than it is with you standing at the front of the room, like you said, lecturing about something else.
Absolutely. I felt like I knew my students so much better.
Yeah.
And especially because I had a little bit of data coming in, right? So I could see, oh, hey, Sarah didn't quite get this, and neither did Tom. I am going to make sure to go over and be at their table during their experiment and be talking with them and kind of, like you said, coaching them through everything that's happening.
And, we work with blended learning. I'm going to bring this back to blended learning a little bit, just because I do think that that's kind of the new place that we're seeing this, is that I still hear teachers say, but they're not watching our video. So they're putting them into Edpuzzle because then you can track to see who's watching or how they're watching, or I don't even know all the statistics in Edpuzzle that you can pull. But I think it's important to remember that you still have to keep those videos short, right? So you kind of said about finding ways to chunk your instruction, but also about some video comprehension, right? So you have to model those types of things. You can't just, I know teenagers, I know middle schoolers, I know my 4-year-old was an expert video watcher, but the purpose for their watching is different at home than it is in a classroom. And we cannot expect our students to be able to take information from a video automatically because they're good TV watchers. It's not the same type of thing.
Well, it's the same thing of yes, students can handwrite, but can they take notes?
Right.
Do they know effective ways to pull out that information from it? And so I found that to be probably, I hope one of the gifts that I was able to give some of those classes that they could carry with them of becoming a little bit better of a note taker through different strategies and styles that we used.
Right. And I just recently, and I had just sent, because you were just asking about this video comprehension thing too,
yes,
not that long ago. There are a couple, I think, interesting resources out there. Whether or not they're super research based, I don't know. I don't know that there is a ton of research out there about good strategies for video comprehension, but maybe we can put those in the show notes too, or just some resources that we've kind of accumulated of how and I don't know, talking points with your kids or questions that they should be asking themselves. It's not just about giving them a graphic organizer either. So how important it is, I'm going to say it again, is to model that with your kids, please.
I think one of those very first things that I learned from probably two of the pioneers were John Bergman and Aaron Sams. And one of the things they said, they were high school teachers that would spend a week of how to take notes on a video in a high school classroom. Yeah. Like, that's some precious, precious time.
Yeah, it is. Sure.
But they were able to go so much further and deeper because they spent that time
and that's a skill then that goes on for, I mean, it's like teaching your kids to learn while they're reading. It's the same type of thing. So that's a skill that overlaps on so many different levels. Yeah.
Well, let me pick up on that John Bergman reference on there, because when I was doing some research, I found some of his older videos, and it was kind of interesting to watch them.
Nostalgic?
It was nostalgic because, like, he was talking about the old complaint you get, like, what if my students can't watch this video at home? What are the alternatives? And so he's talking about putting things on a DVD for them. He's talking about buying these little MP4 players off Amazon with these little tiny screens on them. And all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow. And that made me think, like, so things have really moved on in terms of the technology and the tools and things that people would use for flipped classrooms. So
in some ways. Yeah. I was actually down in a district talking with someone, and they said, we have a one-to-one environment at school, but still not every kid when they go home have access to Wi-Fi.
Right.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Or even maybe good Wi-Fi that allows you to stream something.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And so they had talked about how their school was starting to provide hotspots that they could be checked out. And maybe it's not checked out by everybody, but there still is a bit of an equity issue there.
Yeah. Or maybe putting it in places like Google Drive where they could download the video at school so that it's available offline at home.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So if you were doing it today, Amber, what kind of tools would you turn to, given your knowledge and experience now and what you know is available now?
Yeah, I know. So much has changed since I left the classroom. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Mindy mentioned one of them. I think Edpuzzle would have been very helpful. I feel, though, and I'd be curious to hear what you guys thought about this, too. I was talking with teachers very early on when I started at the agency about Edpuzzle and telling them about some of the features of it. Yeah. And one of the features that Edpuzzle, I think, has had for a really long time is the ability to not skip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Teacher superpowers, I think they call it, or something.
What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I can see both sides of that coin.
I skip videos all the time. I fast forward to what I need.
Yes, and I guess the implication here is, are students fast-forwarding to the questions just to answer the questions and go forward? And
but if they know the answer to the question, should they have to watch it?
Exactly,
That's the point.
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, it's interesting. I mean, I understand, because I don't know, I think this is why table of contents in videos is so important, because we talked about this video that you and I were sharing with participants that was an hour long, and we're like, we really think this chunk is the important part, but there might be lots of things in here that might be beneficial to people. So creating, like, it's kind of a pain, but creating a table of contents for that video so you can find what you need. I don't know. I think that's why it's also important that your video should only be a very short amount of time. Yeah. So, like, if I can watch a video for 5 minutes and get what I need, or answer the one question after, I mean, I don't feel like that's as big of a waste of my time. I don't know.
And maybe some of it comes
still.
Maybe some of it comes back to, like, doing that kind of like pre-assessment of a topic before, you just jump in and say, all right, here's the first lesson sort of thing. Then ahead of time, and maybe it goes back to what Amber was saying about differentiating a little bit with some of those videos, that some kids get this video and the rest just get, the regular video. So.
It's interesting to think about because, like, one of the things that would come up is, like, so did all the kids watch the videos, right? Mm-hmm. So my kids told me, like, 70% of them usually remembered to watch it.
Right.
Okay. And I would try to do things to help them be successful for that. I would have watch parties over lunch and before school and invite everybody to come in and just play it, and you guys can watch it, and if you need to pause it, go ahead. And our special education teacher did the same thing with her group of students too, and it connects with those ideas in some ways. Like, because I want my students to be successful, I was offering those things, right? Mm-hmm. So if they already know it, is it making them be successful to watch every single second of a video that you've made?
Yeah, and I remember you telling me a story once, and maybe you don't remember telling me this, or maybe it was somebody else, but...
Let's see.
Did you not say at one point that, like, your cat became kind of a frequent visitor in your videos, and that students used to tune in to see your cat sometimes as well? And so it makes you wonder if you can put, like, little hooks or little things in there to make students want to think about tuning in to your videos. I doing this with my screencasting class, I said, hey, maybe once in a while you could, like, throw a green screen behind you, and then, you know, you could be in some different place when you're doing your video virtually, and students could be curious as to where you were this time. But, you know, little hooks or little fun things that they can tune in and make them want to watch your videos.
Yeah, if you're just droning on like you would at the front of the room, like, come on.
Right?
Don't do it.
You did remember correctly, Jonathan. Okay. Yes. I would just make my videos either at the kitchen table or sitting. I found my footstool to actually be a nice height if I sat on the floor and my footstool is in front of me, that's where I would put it. And then my couch would be behind me. And so my cat would, like, hang out on the back of the couch behind me.
Just, like, swat at your head. That'd be awesome.
Not quite that extreme, but I did have a student who had some behavior disorders and things like that just struggled in other areas, but he always watched these videos. And I talked to him at one point. He's like, I didn't have the cat in a video, and it was a big deal. He's like, you have to have the cats in the video. And so then I started doing, like, call outs to the cats, like, hey, there's Phil, say hello. But anything you can do to make relationships with your kids, right? And so that they can know you as a human being and a person, and you in turn get to know them a little bit more by having conversations and it opening kind of the door to your life.
Right. And I think, you know, talking about tools a little bit, like, Khan Academy is great. YouTube is great. If you need an instructional video of some sort, but your students really would prefer to see you. Yeah. Yeah. And it is time consuming. It absolutely is. So, you know, you don't have to do every instructional video that you share with your students, but make an appearance when you need to, and every once in a while at least, because they'd rather hear from you than someone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we think back to tools, right? That was the initial question. Yeah, right. The other two tools that I think, and they kind of go together, is, and I started to get to this at the very end of my exploration, was I would offer choice assessments to students and allow them to make videos as examples of what they learned. And some of them were pretty good and some of them were not so good. But the ones that were good, I thought, we could reuse this next year. And instead of me being someone doing this, they could listen to each other, and it could be this, you know, kind of cool library that forms over the years. And I think that Flipgrid,
I was going to say, that sounds like Flipgrid, right?
Like, especially that mixtape feature in Flipgrid of being able to pull from this one or this one or this one, I think would be really cool to be able to have a student generated thing, because there really is something to, I can tell you 5 times what it is.
Absolutely.
And then because another student says it to you, you will get it that time.
Right.
Which I think is kind of the whole layer of this, right? Is that, so I had a form that I would ask them to fill out. There's nothing to say that as they're watching this video at home, Sally's not sitting next to me telling me what to put in my form because Sally watched that video, but they had a conversation about the topic.
Right.
And I thought, I'm going to get them. I'm going to ask the kids to take notes, and I will do the note check instead of the Google form. But you know what? Even if they're copying someone's notes, they're still getting the content, and they're getting their handwriting, their conversation with each other. So it's really, you know, about that community of support that they all try to get and generate from each other. You creating a video starts to get it into their hands a little bit different.
And there's all those new tools now in Flipgrid for the Shorts camera with the whiteboard and all those other things that would really lend themselves well to.
Which is also an immersive reader, or in Wakelet.
Which is the other tool that I think would be super helpful.
I stole your thunder.
No, you didn't. Wakelet.
Wakelet, yeah. How would you use Wakelet?
Mindy and I have had this conversation many times, but for playlists, you know, because you have that Flipgrid integration, I could have my tutorial video at the top and then all the other resources and supports to get them through that lesson below it. And then the whole package is there, whether it's a PDF, whether it's pictures of lab setups or links to other websites. You could do that all within Wakelet, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Ride the wave. Hashtag ride the wave.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about tools. Are there any people that you would still, recommend to follow if you're looking for ideas to get started?
So I would say one of the initial things that helped me so much getting started was that there was a Flip Class chat on Twitter.
Oh.
And I went on Twitter and I searched for Flip Class, and they do still have the Flip Class chat. I don't know how often it is. That was my error in prep for this podcast. But
it's fine,
it appeared to have happened this week.
Oh.
So I don't know if it is weekly or monthly.
Sure.
But if you search for that, it should be able to come
It's just Flipped Class then?
Yeah, I think it's Flip Class
Wow,
chat.
you really? Jeez, go ahead and clickety-clack over there.
Sorry.
Yeah, so not only will you find like good resources and ideas there, but you'll have an idea of the type of people that are passionate about this right now and sharing things in a Flip Classroom world.
Flip Class chat.
Flip Class chat.
Yeah, hashtag Flip Class chat. They have questions out there, and it looked like there were people from around chatting about it.
It's good. And plus us, right? Like, I mean, this is something, if you could reach out to any of us and we could probably...
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
At least get you started. Get you started.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's a few podcasts on Flip Learning, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's one through the BAM radio network, and then there's one called Ask the Flipped Learning Network.
Is flipped learning the correct term? And we've been calling it flipped classrooms all this time. Is that the more correct term?
So
updated term.
I don't know.
No?
I don't know what the answer to that is. I started using flipped learning because I felt like it was more than just something that happened in the classroom.
Sure.
Search for both and see what comes up.
See what comes up, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. Thanks, Amber.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Come again. All right, so on to my favorite part of the show. It's Tech Nuggets. Let's do it.
Let's do Tech Nuggets.
Okay. You want to go first? You have like 15 on here.
I do not.
Okay.
I have 2.
All right.
I have an immersive reader nugget. I will try not to mess up like I messed up earlier.
Okay.
But you can always correct me because that's what you like to do.
I've used this before, so I know.
Okay, so we spoke about the immersive reader taking over the world, and I feel like it kind of is. There is an immersive reader Chrome extension now. However, it's not like an official Microsoft immersive reader Chrome extension. It was actually created by the CEO of Pear Deck as a fun little project. He uses Microsoft's public API that they have out there, which is a application program interface or something like that. And he put that together, and it's available for free inside of the Chrome Web Store. So you can use it on any website right now. You can bring up those immersive reader tools.
Any website?
Okay.
I don't know.
Explain.
I don't know. It's like it's not an actual Microsoft immersive reader, so I
Correct.
don't feel like
I said that.
Yeah, I don't think you should expect it to work anywhere at any time. That's my only stipulation about it, but it does work really well.
I think it works better on almost like, the Safari reader mode in terms of if you're on like a blog post or an article type of thing. If you're using like the front page of CNN or something like that, it kind of scrambles some stuff.
Yeah, and kind of like Wonderopolis, right? Like you want to click all the way into the links that you need and be on that actual page before you try and use it, because it does get a little
Yes.
It's a little weird here and there, but I think it's fantastic.
The quote I saw online from the Microsoft guy says, "We support it, but the person who created it, if they take it down and people are using it, then we don't want the blame for it."
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're glad that it's out there, but it's up to that person to maintain it and to keep it going.
Yeah, I think it's great if you're not like a read-write Google school. You know, it's a great free tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we could possibly have already done these tech nuggets, but I'm going to put them out there again. One of them is snack vids. Is this the one that you said you thought maybe we had done before? No? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the way the snack vids works is that you take your YouTube video link and you put the YouTube video link into snack vids, and it creates a written transcript of the video. Then you can do a keyword search within that video, and it will give you the timestamp of when you go and look in that video for that part of the video.
So could be really good for a flipped classroom.
It could. Yeah. So
definitely save you some time. I know I've spent a lot of time like scanning through videos, dragging the playhead around, trying to find the exact spot.
Yeah.
And that would take you right to it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's beautiful. I will tell you that. Like when you go in, it's not like, it's like using the Command F, right? That's what it looks like. It like highlights the words and then it shows you where it's at in the video, but it's better than nothing and could be really beneficial. So I think it's kind of a neat little tool.
And that's snackvids.com?
Snackvids.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so my second nugget. I got another Microsoft one here. Doubling up on Microsoft today.
I guess so.
PowerPoint Presenter Coach on the web. So PowerPoint is available on the web if you were unaware of that. And you can sign in to access that with Microsoft account, a free account. This feature allows you to rehearse your presentation, and it will give you feedback on things like pacing, inclusive language, use of filler words, and culturally insensitive phrases.
Oh, culturally insensitive phrases. Wow.
Yeah. There are so many phrases out there, I think, that we say we have no idea what the actual background of those phrases are. That'd be super interesting just to...
Pops up in real time. I had a little pop-up on the screen that will say,
red flag.
You're going a bit fast, or you're reading the slide. It will say things like that too. And try to use less ums and ahs, it says. It pops up. So it gives you a chance to rehearse a presentation before giving it. If you are someone who goes to conferences a lot and you want to try running...
Are you doing this at home, like in front of the mirror?
Oh.
Are you?
You don't have to do it in front of the mirror anymore because you have the PowerPoint Presenter Coach.
It's funnier, though, to have you sitting in front of a mirror and giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I don't know. I thought it was an interesting idea, and I wonder if Google might replicate any of those types of coaching elements in Google Slides.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Something different. I have a video from Richard Byrne, I think, that shows you how to use that too.
Oh, the Byrne. All right. So I have 1, 2, 3 apps, and actually Amber and I came across this, and Wiley definitely, I think, thinks that he shared this at one point in time, but I did not remember it. So I'm going to take credit for it.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
You do this to me all the time. Anyway, Amber and I were looking for a replacement for Vocaroo, and we came across 1, 2, 3 apps, and it has an audio voice recorder. But there are other tools here. So there's also a video recorder, a video editor. I'm going to use air quotes. Audio cutter, audio joiner.
I used the audio cutter today.
How was it?
It worked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is this free?
Yeah, I don't know. Don't tell all of your friends. Once lots of people start using it is when stuff starts to not be free anymore. But I think these are some nice little tools, especially for people who are using Chromebooks, who sometimes struggle with finding those tools that iPads are really great at. And so, yeah, some free tools here. PDF tools, all kinds of different things. So that's one to take a look at. Thanks for mentioning it probably 15 episodes ago, Wiley. If you did, I don't know.
Sure.
It's always good to be reminded of a
good
good
search
thing.
in my drive, and it never showed up anywhere, so I'm not sure that you've shared it.
Okay, maybe I didn't.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And definitely one I was aware of and I have used and recommended to people in the past. So it's good.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. Amber, you get to round up the tech nuggets.
Woo!
Yay.
So I just shared this with Mindy, and she was like, I'm going to put it on Tech Nuggets. I was like, okay. As Mindy and I work on Think, Make, Innovate, we're always kind of looking for some background B-roll audio. My default is YouTube Audio Library, which is my favorite place to go. But I think this one has some solid options in it. It is dig.ccmixer.org. Mixter, yes.
Yeah,
T-E-R.
Yep.
And you can just download audio tracks, and it will tell you when you download it. There are some that are royalty on there. That'll say if you're using it for commercial purposes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But it'll tell you what that CC license is on it. But I would say for the most part, they're,
I know, but look here. Like, if you look at these our licenses overview, all of them are free to use.
But some will require different attributions, probably.
Right, but they're all free, so you can use them even in commercial projects, but you just have to give credit.
Okay.
Which is nice. Okay. So that's what my assumption was then, that all of them were like that since they listed their actual licenses there.
The only thing I wish they had on here was it would tell you how long the track was.
Oh.
Doesn't say that on there. But you can search by genre, which is what I searched for.
I see that. Your link says search equals happy.
Yeah.
So
I only want happy music in my videos.
Well, that makes sense.
Yep.
But you can sort by different genres and search for dark or cinematic or...
Dark, jeez.
No, happy.
Okay.
Think, make, innovate. Happy makers.
Okay, good.
We don't have dark makers.
No,
Jeez.
why not? I mean,
everyone's happy when they're making.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a sad making video where everything goes wrong.
Oh. But that's still happy.
It is.
Fail forward.
There's always positive
Growth
things
mindset.
to take
Look
away
at
from
all the
it.
things you learn by failure, right?
Oh, boy. Okay.
I think we should make a special Think, Make, Innovate of Jonathan Wiley making in dark, creepy cinematic music. No? All right.
Let's.
Do it in grayscale.
Oh, God. I love that.
Bonus episode? Yeah.
Bonus episode. Hidden Easter egg way at the end. All right. Are we signing this puppy off? You have a before we go, comma. But nothing after that.
Nothing.
Okay. I am Team Carney on Twitter, and Jonathan is at Jonathan Wiley. Amber, you are
at A. Bridge
Smith. Our team account is DLGWAEA, and you can use our hashtag EdTechTakeout to tag the show. If you prefer, you can send us an email to podcast@gwaea.org.
So, until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.
For more information on today's episode, please visit dlgwaea.org/podcast.